All right, welcome back to the Randy Forcier podcast. This is episode 9, and I have my first recurring guest with me, my brother Matt. Welcome back, bud.
Yes, I am fired up to be back, and especially to talk about what we've been talking about. It's awesome. You've been crushing it so far. It's a must listen to me every Monday morning. Must listen. So you're doing an awesome job.
Thanks, bud. So we're mixing it up today, though. We are doing something completely different than what we've done so far, what I've done so far, and we actually are doing a top 5 movies podcast where we are going to pick our favorite movies. And when I say favorite movies, it's going to be movies that we enjoy watching the most, watched from childhood, just our favorite movies that are super watchable. I wouldn't say best movies. What's your personal criteria for this list?
That's a great point. In doing this process, I realized that I have 28 movies in my top 5. So that's literally what I've done. I've been agonizing over this list.
It's been fun.
I looked at exactly like you said, not necessarily the best movies you've ever seen, but these are movies that I will watch often, yearly, most of them. If it's on, and if you're going through the channels and it's on cable, you're 100% stopping and picking it up no matter where it's at. These are movies that I've probably seen more than 10, 15, 20 times over the course of my life.
Yeah. So I like to work with a movie in the background once in a while. So for me, these are movies that I would throw on in the background, knowing that any portion of it that I actually catch and am able to sit down and watch, I will enjoy. And things that I have fond memories of, just we'll get into it. But I'm really excited to see where our list overlaps. I'm sure there'll be at least 1, 2, or 3 overlaps, but you might surprise me. I know you're a big foreign film guy. You're a big dub movie guy. You're kind of gotten into some weird stuff as we've gotten older. So there might be
First off, if you're not watching movies and TV shows with subtitles on, you are missing out big time.
Because you're watching Korean movies in Korean.
I mean, there's amazing Korean movies out there. It's it's unbelievable. But subtitles, no matter what you're watching, is a must for me. You pick up on so much more.
That's a professional move at this point. We with the kids running around and are just trying to lay in bed and have the volume just a little bit lower.
Exactly.
To see what they're saying is
I'm curious to see how much, because we obviously watched a lot of the same things growing up. Yeah. You've influenced me a lot growing up with watching stuff. So I'm fired up. I'm ready to dive right in.
So we're doing 5, top 5.
Top 5.
Between 1 and 2, and we're going to do a reverse order, obviously. 5 down to 1. Between 2 and 1, we have put in a section for 4 honorable mention movies that we will not rank. I don't know what my 4 are yet, so I have a list in front of me. We'll see. I have 3 out of the 4, I believe, and I can't say they're the newest movies. None of these things are.
The one thing I was gonna say while doing this process is you're 100% right. A lot of these movies are from when you're growing up, you know what I mean? Or you've watched when you were growing up through your, adolescence to teenage years, because that's when you watch movies all the time. If you watch a movie now that you love, you're not going to go and
watch it 100 times.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of these are older. Yeah.
I think I watch a lot less movies than you too. At this point, I probably watch 5, 6, 7 movies a year. We watch some of the big blockbuster stuff at the movie theater, and I'll catch a few things at home here and there. But most of the time, we're watching TV shows. I don't know, maybe that's another podcast down the road. But we're into shows that me and Tara watch on a nightly basis or weekly basis. So there's not as much time for movies as there is. And plus, I watch things in 20-minute increments at this point. So it would take me 2 weeks to watch a movie. True. So as I look at the list, there's a lot of older stuff, and I think it's fine. But
I know I'm right there with making notes as I'm going right now.
I have a IMDb open. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, me too. Let's do this.
Let's start with you. You're the guest. I want to hear what number 5 is for you.
Number 5. All right. I know this one isn't on your list, and it came to my mind when sadly we lost a legend a few weeks ago, Ray Liotta. And number 5 on my list is Goodfellas.
Yeah.
It's literally one of the best, obviously top 5. It is an incredible movie. How it's shot, if you like anything to do with mobster movies, it's so good. I cannot recommend that movie enough. I know you haven't seen it yet, so by me putting this number 5, I'm hoping you get to see that.
It's just putting more heat on me to actually watch it. We definitely talked about this a week ago, I think, when Ray Liotta did pass away. And it isn't my genre of choice for whatever reason. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But you got me hyped up on it. We're talking about it now. Move it up in the back of my mind.
Yeah, it's one like watch the first 15 minutes, and if you're not like hooked, which I don't think is possible, like it's just so good. The music, and one of the best things about that movie, it's the Copacabana shot. There's this one tracking shot, a la True Detective, with Matthew McConaughey that Scorsese did through the Copacabana. It's him getting into a club. It is perfection. It is like the most beautiful shot, and then to have Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Ray Liotta, it's just. Yeah, that's number 5 for me, for sure.
I do like those tracking shots. I can appreciate those when you see a good one. So,
and this is like one of the. I mean, obviously more came before this, but this is like what
classic.
Like, True Detective will like references like they reference Scorsese like during this, and Scorsese didn't win the Academy Award for this one, which was a huge deal back when it came out. But I think they made up for it with the Departed later. But it's. Unbelievable
God,
movie.
I forgot even about The Departed. Movie. It wouldn't have made my list, but another great movie.
So yeah, number 5.
So you're right. I have not seen it.
Yeah.
I will see it this year, 2022. I will see Goodfellas.
Great.
Has to happen in honor of Ray Liotta.
Yes.
So number 5 for me, and I don't know where these movies rank on your all-time top favorites, but it's the first Lord of the Ring movie, Fellowship of the Ring. There's a plural. So. The reason is, it came out when I was in high school, and I didn't like that kind of stuff. Like trolls and all that. Whatever genre you classify that in. I reluctantly went to the movies with some of my buddies. They're like, "Let's go see this. It looks good." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'm probably not going to pay attention. I left the movie, and I was all in. It was 3 hours of awesomeness from beginning to end. The shot in the movie, or the part in the movie that I remember, and you remember this movie well.
Yes.
It was they had the guys on the horses that were chasing Frodo down. Yep. And the shot where he was running away from them and jumped on the raft, and they all came up to the dock, and like they were kind of freaking out. I was like, "Oh, this is amazing. Like I'm all in on this. I can't wait to see what happens next." And have loved all of those movies ever since. But it really did start with that movie first.
I remember when you called me and told me you saw it. You saw it before me, because I think it was 99 or 98 when 2000 around the time when it came out, and you said you were blown away. This movie is not on my list. It easily could have been. It made my top 28 list. It wasn't in my top 5. I used to go to bed every night watching like this movie to fall asleep to. The music in it is unlike the Shire music is like it's incredible. I mean. From beginning to end, it has
like distinct parts in the movie where you're like, that part's awesome, that part's awesome, and there's a dozen of them. Even right till the end, that last battle on kind of the hillside, there's kind of a quasi-tracking shot on that, and that last part. Yeah. It kind of goes down, and there's a bunch of different stuff going on. Just love that movie.
It's an incredible. It's what a trilogy. It is an unbelievable movie and a great top 5.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways,
love that. Awesome.
I had to have it on the list just because of the impact that it had for me, and kind of set me down a path of movies like that over the past 20-something years. Mm-hmm. It all started right there.
Yeah, awesome. Great choice. Love it. I will definitely want to go watch that again very soon. All right, so my number 4. This was tough. I went my number 4 movie. I ended up picking Superbad. All right?
Love it.
With Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, McLovin, Bill Hader, Seth Rogen. I mean, literally, I watched that movie not long ago, and I had tears in my eyes many times throughout that movie. It is so funny. It put Jonah Hill on the map. And there was this at the time where like the Judd Apatow, like where it's like 40-year-old virgin. There was Wedding Crashers around this time.
So I have all of these in like a line of my honorable mention because I want to squeeze in a comedy, and maybe this is us doing that right now.
Yeah.
Because all of those movies, Old School, Wedding Crashers, 40-year-old virgin, this, Knocked Up, like these guys are awesome. And that was a great run of comedy movies. Superbad definitely being one of the funniest ones.
Because Wedding Crashers were right there for me. It was honestly, it was between those two, and I just thought Superbad actually had like a really good story of like high school friendship and like these buddies that were going off to college and going in different directions and all that kind of stuff. It was just it's in my top 5, and it's one of the funniest movies ever made. And anytime that movie is on, I will stop and watch it and just laugh like hysterically. So
Jonah Hill is so funny,
so hilarious.
He's kind of the same character in a handful of movies, and it's just it connects with me, man. When I see it, I love it.
I heard, like, because I listened to something else the other day, like, no one screams like Jonah Hill. Like, when he's mad, like going off on a rant, he's hilarious. And that was like the movie that put like Bill Hader, who I know we both love, like that was like his like first like feature film. He was on SNL a little bit, but didn't really recognize him. And him
and Rogen,
Seth Rogen as the cops were just, it was so funny, and the concept was so good. So I put Superbad my number 4 movie. So
I don't have any comedies on my list, but like I said, it was definitely on that section in the honorable mention. Wanted to squeeze something in there, so I'll I'm glad it came up and we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. All right, cool. What's your number 4?
Number 4 for me, I'm interested to see if this is on your list, is The Matrix. So The Matrix, I don't know, is this on your list? No.
It is my number 3 movie that I'll be talking about. So we'll get this.
So do we agree that we're talking about this now or then?
Let's talk about it now, because it's going to go right into your number 4 and my number 3. So let's just talk about it now, and then we'll go back to your number 3. But you started off, and then I'll go into my
98. I was in high school.
Came out in 99. Yep.
Oh, and I think it actually came out before Lord of the Rings. But when I saw that movie, it just blew me away with the special effects, the concept of like we're all living in a computer simulation theory. I feel like I've gone down the rabbit hole 100 times in the past 20 years onto stuff like that, and the whole idea of like, is this even a real life right now? Am I in a computer or a pod someplace? And I'm waiting to to wake up. Everything about it I loved. Keanu Reeves classic movie. Just huge impact.
So for me, okay, so I have a very vivid memory. It was 99. You broke your ankle. All right, or I think in basketball. Okay, I didn't see it in theaters at the time, but you rented it from Movie Gallery up the road. And when you rented it, I watched it, and I remember like my life like completely changing. Like seriously, it was like, oh my gosh, this is what movies are. Like the bullet time, which obviously is like one of the most famous scenes.
Started it off, I would say.
I mean, the opening scene with Trinity at the TV, and she jumps up in the air, and the cameras are going around her. It was like, what is going on?
In that first kick, right?
Yeah, it was that. And the guy went through the wall, and the concept was so high level. It was one of those, and there was like little like Easter eggs in it, and it's like, holy smokes, what an original idea it was.
And Lawrence Fishburne had an amazing performance. Agent Smith was a great bad guy. Everything about that story was just awesome.
The agents. And then, like, the real world, too, with, like, what was going on. Like what you said, they come with the pods, and they live in this, like, crappy ship, and, like, that's their life now. And then these, like, mechanical sentinels are following them. And then in The Matrix, which is our world, the agents were incredible. Like, they could just,
pop up anywhere.
Pop up anywhere.
And the sound and the special effects for when an agent would take over a body, it was just, like, it was, it was disturbing.
And and one of the things that I think that makes that movie, like, so awesome is the ending. Like that key moment when Neo is running through and he's trying to get to the phone after him and Agent Smith have that epic subway battle, and he gets to the door and he opens the door where the phone is, and Agent Smith shoots him and he like dies.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is going on? And then he gets back up, the music like swells. Morpheus, I remember saying he's beginning to believe, or
stops the bullets.
And then he becomes Neo. And it was just like, this is unbelievable. So that is my number 3 movie in there. So
and we might as well bring up the sequels for a second while we have this up and running. I actually really did like Matrix Reloaded. I think I've told you that before. I think the special effects fight scenes were even better. There's a fight scene where there's a stairway that goes on both sides.
Incredible.
All place. The car chase is awesome. The dudes with the white dreadlocks.
Merovingian. You get like the architect, which
we actually like that.
Yeah.
People didn't like that. I thought that was an awesome scene, and I very much like that sequel. Third one, not so much. Fourth one, even less so. But it will always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, me it went down. I like the third one a little bit more than you. Yeah, it never captured that. And the fourth one, I wanted to like it so bad, and I still can't even tell you what really went on in that movie.
It's nice to watch. I'm glad I got a chance to bring back some memories when I did see it, but it was it definitely felt like a lower tier movie. You know, it didn't feel like an HBO or like a movie that I would want to go see at a movie theater on day one. It just felt like a made for TV lower level.
Yeah, I agree. And that Matrix, it solidified Keanu as like the man.
Yeah, he is the man.
And he is like the man. Obviously, I don't know if John Wick is on your list. It's not on my list.
It's not, but I did love John Wick.
John Wick is incredible. And Keanu is just like, and also universally beloved in Hollywood. Probably the greatest guy in the world. If you Google him, always does nice stuff. Just a great guy. So happy anything for Keanu. So anyway, that's my number 3. So let's just cycle right back to your number 3.
Back to my number 3.
Yeah.
You probably knew this would be on the list, but it's Big Trouble in Little China. Or maybe you didn't know this would be on the list, but this is...
I had a feeling this is not on my list.
I wouldn't expect it's a very niche movie. I wouldn't expect it to be on your list, but it's like, if anyone asks me what one of my favorite movies is, like, I will always say that, because it's just, I have such a great time watching that movie.
It's not on mine. I almost had an honorable mentions. I had a feeling it was going to be on yours.
Yeah.
We've quoted that movie.
It's the best.
So many times. And again, so Big Trouble in Little China came out in the 80s. Kurt Russell's lead actor.
The man, Jack Burton.
Absolutely the man. Like, so awesome. Carries himself so great. And the concept is just, it's out there. John Carpenter, who obviously did, Halloween, The Thing, Escape from New York. Incredible movie.
So it's about this underground Chinatown world in San Francisco. And, Lopan, another great villain.
Great bad guy.
We bring up Lopan quite a bit. We see like an older guy.
And the actor, I don't have his name. He's still working. He
is. I saw an article about him too. Yeah, he was in Wayne's World. He was
in Wayne's World. He's in that movie, Everything at Once, which we have not seen. We both
He's in that. I
think
that might be why I saw his name. I got to see that.
So, Kim Cattrall is in it, pre-Sex and the City. She's in that movie as well.
And I loved the three guys. That the one was like the wind, lightning, thunder. Those guys were awesome. Look, those guys are unstoppable.
And that was when, again, in the 80s, where they didn't have CGI. You know what I mean? Obviously special effects, but it's not like there's a lot of awesome practical effects in it. There's a lot of monsters in it. And it just looks great. It's a fantastic movie. Jack Burton is, one of the best leading men. Kurt Russell, just absolutely love that guy. So good for you.
Will always be one of those movies. So I talk about throwing a movie on in the background when I'm working. Like, that's probably the one that I throw on just because it's easy watching. Need some Jack Burton in my life as much as possible. Five Demon Bag, Egg Shen. It's just too much.
It's awesome. It's a great movie. If anyone that hasn't seen it, recommend it. Great movie to watch when you're not like 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, but you have a kid 10, 11, 12, probably when we started watching it. It's awesome. So
I don't see how you wouldn't love it. There was a talk of a sequel. I don't know if you remember this a few years ago.
Yes.
And The Rock's name was attached to it. Probably better off that it didn't happen, but I would have loved a little bit more Big Trouble in Little China world.
Yeah, and for us, that put Kurt Russell in the map too, who's just fantastic in everything he's in. So
huge awesome. Kurt Russell guy.
We're getting to the top here. We're getting to the top.
Yeah, we are. Holy smokes! Yeah, man, we're doing good though. Sorry, I want to hear it. What's number 2?
Number 2 for me. I mean, we talked about this. We talked about this movie probably the most out of any movie we ever talked about. But number 2 for me is Back to the Future. It's my number 2 movie. I wanted to be Marty McFly so bad growing up, him running through the streets on the skateboards, just always being cool in everything he did. You and I, we used to be in line at Disney or Universal, and we'd play Back to the Future trivia.
So can I say something real quick?
Yes.
That is my number 1 movie. All right,
okay.
Back to the Future is my number 1 movie for a lot of the same reasons. So now we can kind of just move forward from here.
Yeah.
I think the first one's a perfect movie. In my eyes, like what I like in a movie, good story, sci-fi kind of stuff. Time travel is always something that I enjoy, and thinking about how all that works. And then beyond that, I actually think the trilogy is very good, a really good trilogy as well. But yeah, we used to do Back to the Future trivia all the time about the dogs' names and Lone Pine Mall versus Twin Pine Mall, and I think there was other people that did the same.
What is a dog's name? In both 1985 and 1955.
Copernicus and
Copernicus is 55. What?
Galileo?
Nope.
Oh,
it's Einstein.
Yes.
Yeah, you knew that, but Copernicus, way to pull that one out, though.
I choked. I remember the Copernicus one. Copernicus was altered in 1985.
What's that?
Copernicus was alternate 1985, right?
I don't think so. I'm gonna say I think
Copernicus was the name, and Einstein was the alternative Biff with the casino time.
I don't think so. I don't know. Now we have to go back and check it out. I'm pretty sure Einstein was there the whole time and anyway.
Yeah.
Doc Brown's dog.
Yeah.
He had this. First off, I love that breed because it was the same exact dog from 1955 to 1985. So he only got that breed of dog in his life. But the movie, how it's written, it's like you said, it's like literally the perfect movie. It's so tight. There are so many little like Easter eggs throughout. If you go back, you watch it multiple times, you pick up on it.
Payoff. It flows.
Johnny
Music.
Yeah, and just the concept of like your mom falling in love with you in like when she's a teenager was just, it's hilarious. And they obviously struck gold with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Who's just incredible.
And we've talked about this before, but the first few weeks of that filming was actually a different actor, and I forget what his name is now.
Yes.
But they shifted him out because it wasn't the right fit, put Michael J. Fox in there, and he, I can't imagine anyone else being Marty McFly.
Yeah, and that is if we ever do this, like top trilogies, like that is like up there. Because that trilogy is, I just think how they kind of, I watched Back to the Future 2 1,000 times. Kind of
I actually think Back to the Future 2 is really good.
I think Back to the Future is fantastic.
They do some really good stuff, kind of making you look at Back to the Future 1 from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And, different angles and revisiting the same scenes, the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
With George, the punch.
Yeah. And George wasn't even in that movie, and they had him. They were able to like make it seem like he was, or use some old footage, and thought it was great.
And Biff, all-time bad guy. Like Biff is the definition of a bully. Like he was so good as a bad guy. Both old Biff, young Biff, just like you said, absolute perfect movie. I was wondering if it was going to be your number one. Obviously, I put it at your number.
I feel like I know where your number one is.
You probably, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, anything else on Back to the Future? I mean, anytime it's on, I have to watch it.
No, it's an old movie, but I think it'll hold up in another 20 even years from now as just being a good movie. It is kind of funny to think though. I remember when Back to the Future, I don't know if you know what I'm going to say, but when Back to the Future 2 came out and they went 30 years into the future to 2015.
2015.
And what they envisioned 2015 was versus what it really was, and it was nothing like that.
No.
I think of the mini pizza that they put in the microwave that's, this big, and it, 10 seconds later.
Hydrating pizza.
They have faxes that fax and things print out of your wall.
They did have the screens on the FaceTime kind of thing though down with the screens, and that they got a couple things right. Didn't
they predict who was in the World Series?
Yeah, it was the Cubs. The Cubs won the World Series. I think the Cubs were, I don't know if that's the year they won or were in. Either way, I think it was around that time. But they played Miami, which isn't even a real
team.
Baseball
team. Marlins involved in something around that
time.
It
was Miami Gators, which doesn't even make sense. But I remember the Cubs winning the World Series. The Sports Almanac,
who doesn't know about the Sports Almanac? And that's such a huge part of that movie.
You're telling me if you would travel back in time, all right, you would, if you were in 04, you wouldn't go back and put all your money on the Red Sox to win the World Series.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Of course.
Smart move.
Yeah. So anyway, unbelievable movie. So
okay. So
now do you want to do honorable mentions?
We should do honorable mentions. I'll skip my number 2 because I feel like it's your number 1, and if I'm wrong, we can.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. We'll do honorable mentions now. Then we'll go with my number 1 and your number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll try to go a little quicker in the honorable mentions. Not that we have to.
We won't go in depth. Yeah.
So whatever. You start, and we'll just go back and forth one at a time.
Okay. Avengers Endgame is on mine. Okay.
Okay.
I think this. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. Now you go.
This is, I think, a perfect example of probably not the best MCU movie, but I will never forget being in the movie theater with you and the portals opened and all the superheroes came back, and it was 23 movies kind of building up to this one moment. It was one of the best. It was the best movie theater experience I've ever had.
Hold that thought. All right.
Yep.
So yes, that is a good movie.
Yes.
Okay. Hold that thought. I'll go next.
Yeah. Go.
T2, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I don't know if that's on your honorable.
It was on my honorable mentions, but it was on my list of 28. Unbelievable movie.
Mom took me and Chris Clancy to see that movie back in, I think it was like 1992. We were definitely too young to be in the movie theater. I think it was. Was it a? Is that an R-rated movie?
Definitely R-rated.
Yeah,
movie.
definitely an R-rated movie. Violence. Anyway, she brought me to the movie. We freaking loved every second of it. It blew my mind. You know, I almost had it in my top 5. But anyways, love that movie. It will always be one of my favorites.
James Cameron, man, guy, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Arnold, ton of cool stuff.
Next for me, Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade.
Interesting.
Okay. Again, Raiders, probably a better movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy Last Crusade more. Sean Connery element. It's a very funny movie, you know?
Story. That's probably my favorite story-wise. Holy Grail. You know, that part where they're walking across the
knights.
The knights. The thing, I was wondering where Indiana Jones was going to show up on your list. I knew it would come up at some point. I actually thought maybe you'd throw Temple of Doom in there, which is the worst of the 3. But we definitely watched that one the most. Back in the day.
100%. And I think over time, the Sean Connery Harrison Ford element is just incredible. They're so good together, and I think the Knights, like at the end of the three things to do is that. So anyway, that's my other honorable mention.
Okay, so that's 2 for you, 1 for me so far. Yep. Next one is Gladiator for me.
That was
as far as like a what?
It's great. It was on my list, not my honorable mentions, but I'm so happy. It's incredible.
Dude, that movie came out right around the time I was going to college, and I just thought it was shot so well. Special effects, great character, and all the fight scenes were amazing. And I'm not a big Ancient Rome guy or Gladiator Days kind of guy, but I just thought that was an awesome movie with a good story. And I think, did it win Best Picture?
It won Best Picture that year. I think Ridley Scott won Best Director.
Yeah, so it might be like my best.
Russell Crowe won. No, Russell Crowe didn't win. He won for Beautiful Mind. But the person that stole that movie, Joaquin Phoenix, put him on them. Like, him
Weirdo.
as Commodus.
Yeah.
Weirdo. But, like, what a bad guy. He was so creepy. And, oh, man. Gladiator, I'm so happy you put that on there.
Yeah. So, that's a great one for me. I'll watch that any day.
Yep. My third honorable mention, Halloween. Oh, right. I will never go through Halloween season without watching Halloween. And it's the original, the 1978 version, John Carpenter again. It's by far probably my favorite Halloween movie, not my favorite horror movie, my favorite Halloween movie. It's just incredible. You can't beat Michael Myers. So
classic. I made Tara watch it last Halloween. She did not feel the same way, but it was fun. It was fun to watch it. Yeah, we've obviously saw the most recent one that was at the theater a couple years back, and I haven't seen the most recent one. I think that was on Hulu, but
not as good. Not as. I'll watch it because I'll want to finish that new trilogy, but not as good. I've seen half of it and I haven't finished it, which tells you
that's not a good sign.
Not a good sign. No,
it's not when you just abandon a movie halfway through.
Yeah. All right, yes, that's that. Halloween, number 3.
Right, so that's number 3 for you. Next one for me. This might be surprising to you, but Apollo 13 is a movie that I absolutely love. Love space movies, so this kind of checks the box for me. True story. Love Tom Hanks, and I think that movie is really good from beginning to end. Well shot, everything about the way that it's made. I remember watching it when I was however old when it came out and thinking like, oh my God, I can't imagine what I would do in that situation. And the way they figured it out and, obviously made it home, it was freaking incredible. So anyway.
I mean, not on mine, but you can't go wrong with that movie. Ed Harris, I think, was that Ron Howard, I think, that directed that one?
It was. Ed Harris was in it. What's his name?
That was like Tom Hanks when he was like Forrest Gump. He was going through a stretch there where it's like...
And all of those movies for him are probably...
could be
more critically acclaimed, and people probably love them more. I've always loved, like, space stuff, and Apollo 13 I just thought was an awesome movie at the time, and I think it was a critically acclaimed movie as well. So I'd watch that any day that it's on, still, to this day.
Okay, awesome. Speaking of space, my other 4 honorable mention is Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars. I could not have a Star Wars movie on here. We both love Star Wars, not as much the most recent ones or the prequels, but Empire is, I think, and a lot of the best
one.
All of the Star Wars movies. I remember when they released it for the 20th anniversary at Cinema 8, Biddeford, and went there to see it, and again, blew my mind as a 10, 11-year-old. Empire Strikes Back just has it all with great fight scenes, Yoda, battle on Hoth with the snow, Darth Vader admitting he's the dad.
Reveal at the end,
So Empire, Lando is an awesome character.
Yep.
Han Solo just being the man before he gets frozen in carbonite.
Carbonite, yeah, totally.
So Empire has to be on there for me.
So Empire is on my list that didn't make the honorable mentions. But if I was going to pick one Star Wars, I would pick that one probably for my favorite. I do remember watching Return of the Jedi more growing up as a kid. I don't know which one. I don't know if that's maybe something I created in my head or what the reality is. But I remember like the Ewok stuff. You know, that last fight, the Emperor.
Jabba, where you really got to see Boba Fett was interested, introduced in Empire, but then he ends up dying, or he doesn't die. Spoiler alert. Disney Plus subscribers.
We didn't give any spoiler alerts. We should.
So it's Star Wars. We've seen every new one, even the side movies that in the movie theater. And Empire had to be on there for me.
I can't even stress how much I hated that last Star Wars movie. God damn, that was so bad.
If we made a list of times we've been most disappointed or frustrated walking out of a movie theater, that one would be on there. I really
disappointed was that last Indiana Jones movie.
It's terrible.
For you, freaking.
I literally was like physically upset. Like, you go to that movie theater. I was out of But they get
that most recent Star Wars is freaking right there with it.
And Indiana Jones has a chance to redeem himself next year. 80-year-old Indiana Jones,
like freaking 100 years old. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
but I'm glad you put it on the list because I didn't. And maybe it's because of that last one being so bad that I just want to move on from it. But obviously up there. Last one for me. Was that your last one? That was your last one?
That was my last honorable mention, yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of movies that I feel like I want to put on here. But as far as favorite movies, movies that we've loved since we were kids is Predator. And
it was on my extended list.
I love freaking Predator. Are you kidding me? Anytime I hear a woodpecker in the woods when I'm playing golf, I'm like, that's the Predator in the woods. I was
in my backyard the other day and I heard a bird in the tree and I'm like, I'm gonna have that triangle, that red triangle, like on my chest right now. Like, I mean, Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura. I mean, it is
the Indian guy, the guy with glasses. I mean, all of them. The girl that the main girl.
Like, it's incredible. I mean, classic '80s like Schwarzenegger in his prime, like just like making
get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. Yeah.
The idea that you would paint yourself in mud and lay in that, and the guy wouldn't be able to see him, and anyway.
They play that scene at like Celtics games. You know what I mean? With like him like lifting the torch, like yelling. Yeah. I mean, and again, a practical effect movie, like unbelievable. Like that, The Predator. Which was quick fun. Did you know who was the original, like in the costume of the Predator? Before they ended up changing actors, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Really?
He was the original guy in the suit.
He's not a very tall guy, I thought.
I know, he's too small.
Yeah, Predator's
ended up going with someone else. Good decision. But
no, I just love that movie. Always have. Sequels have been hit or miss. We've seen some. I think we liked Predator.
The Adrian Brody one.
Yeah, with Lawrence Fishburne and Adrian Brody. That was cool. It was interesting.
Good concept.
They were on a different planet. I like how it kind of ties in with the Alien movies. And then there's a new movie coming out called Prey on Hulu, which is another Predator sequel. So, anyways, always enjoyed those movies.
Awesome movie. Yeah, I'm glad it's on your list. It was on my extended one. Yeah. So awesome. So that's great. So that's our honorable mention.
I feel like I could do like 10 more. So
I know.
But we will move on and go. We'll go to my number 2 movie then.
Okay. All right.
You still have your number 1, and we'll save that.
But let's see if it's the same.
No, it's not going to be the same because it was one of your honorable mentions. I put Avengers Endgame as my number 2 favorite movie.
Okay,
and
let's get
into
it.
Thought that would be your number 1, and it makes me more interested than ever to know what your number 1 is. I think it'll surprise me. But again, like you said, probably not the best MCU movie, but as far as an enjoyable movie-going experience, 3.5 hours, like I feel like a build-up over 15 movies leading up to it, or 12 movies?
23
leading up to it? Okay, yeah. So anyways,
23 movies.
Just the way they did it, I actually thought they hit a home run with it. And that scene, when they're all opening up from the portals and they're all coming there towards the end. And we've seen that be memes like a number of times now, where people like Barstool will, replace all the faces anytime there is a gathering of people for a cause in the world. Someone will create a meme of that video with putting faces on each person as everyone's kind of coming to support the cause. But that scene was incredible and it had a great ending. And I put it as my number 2 favorite movie because I just think it's a genre of movie that I do happen to love, superhero movies, and I thought that one was a home run.
I'm not exaggerating, okay, when I say this was like one of the best moments like ever. For like, I watch two scenes: the Captain America wielding Mjolnir, the hammer, when again, unbelievable moment, and then when the portals open up, you knew they were coming back. You knew all those actors were signed up for that movie, but how they did it with the music, and then with Captain America getting the hammer and saying, "Avengers, assemble." I mean, I got goosebumps just talking about it. Like, literally, and I remember you and I, like, it was incredible. And then, obviously, with Tony Stark, I thought Iron Man might be on this list for you because you're a huge Iron Man guy.
I'll always remember going to see that at first, and I wasn't even sure how I felt about all those movies back then. I thought it looked like a cool movie, and it kind of set us off down the path of liking those type of movies. But this one was the culmination of all of those movies.
Going to the funeral scene, again, from beginning to end, probably not the best, but from that fight on, like, unbelievable. So
even if it was just for that fight scene,
that's incredible.
You know, that shot of them once they all assembled and they're all running down that hill, kind of meeting the other people. Like, that shot is an awesome shot. That's a 20, like you said, 23 movies in the making shot to be able to do that. Yeah. And we saw most of them.
I saw all of them. You still haven't seen Doctor Strange, the original, yet.
There's a couple I haven't seen, but at some point. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of it. So let's do that. I always love going to see that movie with you, that part, and walking out of that theater and being like, wow, that was incredible. So anyways.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So awesome. That was my number 2. So anyways.
Awesome.
I want to hear what your number 1 was.
My number 1 movie, I don't know if it's going to be a surprise to you. I mean, it's what, almost 50 years old now? 40-something years old? Jaws. Jaws is, I watch Jaws every year on July 4th. I think, we talk about Back to the Future being the perfect movie. I think Jaws is also the perfect movie. It's 2 movies in one, from the first half being the stuff at the beach and in Amity and just kind of the shark
and then the
kind
boat.
Of attacking them, and then the second half with Quint and Richard Dreyfuss and the Chief Brody on the boat. Jaws impacted. I still get in the swimming pool and like think like I'm gonna get eaten by a shark. Jaws influenced me so much growing up. It had to go number 1. So.
Well, since I got a boat, I think about it all the time. You know, like we're out in the ocean, it's like I can just picture the back of the boat being, you know, halfway underwater as there's a huge great white shark swimming up it, and then someone sliding into the mouth of
that shot. Quint just yell, ah! So I've watched that movie again, probably up there with any movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Again, music in that one, John Williams. Yeah. That score is the most iconic score out of any single movie. There are some shots in that one of the one of the beach shot where the little boy's getting eaten and Chief Brody's look. To me, it's just an absolutely incredible movie.
It starts well too. You know, girl going out for the swim, and I don't know what the hell she's doing out there going for a swim like that. It blows my mind that anyone would even do anything like that. But I guess she's
I don't ever go out like past my waist, like in like the bigger pool. I'm like,
she was like a mile out there. And, that part doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So 2 other parts of that movie, because you got me fired up. It was on my honorable mention list for sure. The leg floating to the bottom of the water.
Oh my gosh! It's
what the hell?
I mean, there were. What's your second shot? You were gonna say?
Well, just the gas tank blowing up, and that part was amazing at the end.
Incredible shots. I mean, Robert Shaw, who played Quint, unbelievable. Like, I mean, everyone always says like that's the part where the 3 of them are just in the boat and they're telling stories, and he tells the story of he was on the ship that delivered the atomic bomb. That you know, and then their ship blew up and they were in the water with sharks, and I mean, he was just so charismatic.
Yeah.
And he kind of, I think, obviously stole the movie, won the movie.
Yeah.
So Jaws, summer, can't miss it. So my number 1 movie.
I would love to introduce that movie to the girls. They would die at some point. Like all these, or a lot of these movies, and some of them, the sci-fi type stuff aside, like, I would love the girls to watch Back to the Future. I would love for them to watch Jaws someday. So I'll look forward. I'm sure the same for you, Marin. It'd be fun to kind of build a love for some of these older movies.
The fact that this movie is 47 years old, and you said you could watch it and they would even maybe show any interest in it, it just shows how good
it holds up well. It holds up real well.
There's no way, and I was not huge into the sequels at all.
Yeah.
And obviously, you hear the stories about them having issues with the shark, which is why Spielberg wasn't able to show the shark really until the end, which obviously paid off huge, because that first moment you see the shark and Chief Brody goes, "We're going to need a bigger boat." I mean, again, like, absolutely iconic movie. So,
remember the Jaws ride at Universal Studios?
I was petrified to go on that ride, because I thought, what if by accident a real shark got in and you know, replaced the mechanical shark?
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Happen. Yeah. So
what a great couple lists of movies and honorable mentions. I mean, there's still so many that we didn't even talk about, but I think that's a solid list. And it's clear that, like we discussed, the movies from our younger days are movies that stay with us. You know, what's the newest movie that we've Avengers? You know, Avengers
is the newest one
in 2000s and before. So, but I ultimately feel good about it. I mean, those are the movies that I like. I would watch movies like that any day of the week.
Absolutely. It's awesome. And this is like a conversation you and I have on the phone like all the time. So it's just fun to actually like just to hash this out, and it's just good idea. I love this stuff.
So we're gonna have to come back. I'll probably have you on if you're up for it. Maybe every 10 episodes or something like that. We have to maybe top fives will be our thing. So we'll have to regroup after this and think of a top 5 list of things, top 5 TV shows. Yep. You know, we could even do it the way this list is gone, the top 5 movies after 2000. You know, I mean, it'd be kind of cool to talk about some current stuff. But there's a million different ways we can go, and it's fun talking about it. So, is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up?
Nothing else. This was a blast. This was so much fun. I really good idea. Thanks for having me on this one. So
awesome, bud. Well, I am glad we did it, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right, pal. All right. Thanks. Great job.
Thanks, bud. See ya.
All right. See ya.